Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
First of all, tell me what's your name?
Ibrahim Calderon.
Ibrahim. Where are you from?
I'm from Mexico, originally.
MashaAllah. And do you live in the United States?
Yeah, I live in the United States, in Idaho.
MashaAllah. Okay. Today I'm going to present my friend Ibrahim. He became a Muslim, and I'm going to ask him to tell us about his story of becoming Muslim. So, could you please tell us your story about how you became a Muslim and how you got all that information?
Sure.
Why did you choose it?
Yeah. So I've been a Muslim for 4 years now, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
But no, for a long time in high school, I grew up Catholic with my family, but being from Mexico, but they weren't very devout. They don't go to church every day, every week, or they aren't too strict, so I never really considered myself a strict Catholic. And then about when I was in high school or middle school, I can't remember exactly when, but I just got really pessimistic, and I didn't like the world around me. So I saw a lot of pain and poverty and exploitation and inequality, and I saw bad people getting to the best places in the world, to the most power, the hurting the innocent, oppressed people. And I said, it was hard for me to see where God was, So for a long time in high school, I was I consider myself atheist, I was a kafir. Yeah, subhanallah. But it was for those reasons, it was hard for me to find God and all of that. But and because of that, I lived my life like I didn't care, like there were no consequences, like there was no point. So I would do whatever I wanted. I would go out with friends, I would party, I would do these things that were self-destructive, they were not fulfilling me at all, that I was not happy. I would do them because it was the thing everybody was doing, and because, those things can be fun at the time, but really you go back to them because you're not satisfied,
Yeah.
And so I was doing that for a long time, and progressively I got worse and worse and worse until I finished high school, but I kept, doing all of that, and eventually I got to the point where I look back on it now and I know God was sending me messages, Allah was trying to wake me up by giving me, consequences, first small consequences and then progressively bigger and bigger as, I didn't wake up. I didn't, acknowledge them until finally I got arrested. I got a DUI. I was driving under the influence and I got into an accident. And subhanAllah, it was very bad, so I was under arrest and I had to do a lot of community service. I was on probation. I did, 2 years of supervised probation, so that means I had to stay away from my friends, the people I hung out with and I did all that stuff with. And alhamdulillah, at the time I hated it. I thought it was the worst thing to ever happen to me. Because, I felt like, I don't know, like I was the victim in a way.
Yeah.
But after being away from them and being away from that lifestyle, I really, noticed and I learned that I didn't need any of that. None of that was really, I started feeling healthier and feeling better about myself. And alhamdulillah, when I was on probation and away from all of that, my sister invited me. She wanted to go to a bookstore, and she doesn't drive, so I had to drive her. And so I drove her to a bookstore, and I still remember, the images in my head, and like the memory. When a memory is so
Exactly.
ingrained in your mind,
Yeah.
so vivid. I still remember it very, very explicitly. I was in the bookstore. I can't remember what she was getting, but I was standing there waiting for her.
Do you still remember which store exactly? Or
Yeah, it was this Hastings. It's like a bookstore and movie store, like you.
Uh-huh.
And
In Meridian or Boise?
in Boise. And then she was doing her thing, and I looked around, and there it was, we were in the religious section, with like Bibles,
Uh-huh.
and I was like gravitated to the Qur'an, a translation of the Qur'an, right? And I still remember picking it up and reading the first pages, because the first pages tell you a little summary of like what it is about,
True.
revelation, and a short story of what, who the Prophet ﷺ is,
And in that time, you knows that it's for Islam or Muslim or.
yeah, I knew it was. I mean,
I mean, you know before about Islam or you don't know?
the only ideas I had about Islam was what I saw on TV.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it was bad.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it was, jihad and
Yeah.
terrorists and
Mhm.
extremists, But I've always been the kind of person who doesn't necessarily believe, because because of what I see, that everything around me, my perspective was that everything around me was wrong, and so even that, I felt like that, that's probably just not even true, but I didn't know, I never really sat down and thought about it. Until I picked it up, just out of curiosity. I don't know, alhamdulillah, Allah took me to it, and I picked it up and started reading it and thought, this is interesting. It was during the summer, so I was not in classes. I was going to work. I was working, but, I had a lot of free time.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm going to pick this up and read it, and, just out of curiosity. And so I did, and I started reading and reading. I must have read that book, I don't know how many times. Now I still have it, and it's
Mashallah.
falling apart.
Mashallah.
It's falling apart, because I would take it to school, I would take it to work, and when any break, I would open it up, read like 5-10 ayah,
Mashallah. So, why you picked it up? I mean, when you read from it a little bit, why you choose it? How you feel?
Well, at first, the first like Surat al-Baqarah, or those are maybe a little difficult for somebody who doesn't know the history and that sort of thing.
True.
To understand, right?
True.
So there was a lot I didn't understand, but there were so many passages that really, really spoke to me. I truly felt like they were talking to me. Of course, it was talking to the Prophet, and talking about, all these historical events, and lessons to, Bani Israel and the Christians and things like that. But when there were like, statements like reflect on what your life is about, look around you, and really made me reflect on what life was, what I was here for, and it really like made me question my perspective, and it really gave me a much clearer view, it answered, so many questions, that it was truly, that's why I think it was directed at me, because, all of the proclamations that I need to, reflect and live my life towards striving to paradise, right? Worshiping only one God, and not, being aware of the fact that hellfire awaits me, if I don't, submit to Allah, and, really appreciate what life is, because life has so many opportunities. We have so many opportunities that we don't even acknowledge. It's much easier to see the bad than to see the good sometimes.
That's true.
And it's just, it really made me reflect and be able to appreciate where I am at in life, and the opportunity that I have, and so it really made me reflect on how did this come to my lap, You know, because I would get these moments, those moments when I felt like it was really talking to me. I would get like my body would just like have like a euphoric feeling of like, you know, when you get goosebumps, like
Yeah.
you just, your eyes start watering, and it was just like, it was just, you know, such an amazing feeling. And
How long you stayed read the translated Quran?
I probably read it for over a year.
Mashallah.
Remember, I started reading other things too, you know. I started, also, throughout then, I started like living like a Muslim, kind of, you know.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really have any guidance,
Yeah.
so I would like read prayer books and try to pray.
Yeah.
I would, you know, I learned Al-Fatiha. I learned things, you know. I would read other
And
things.
all that before you became a Muslim.
Yeah, you know, because I knew it was interesting, and I knew there was something there, you know. It was, and for a long time, you know, I was living, you know, halal. Well, maybe not like the food and stuff,
Yeah.
but I wasn't drinking. I wasn't going out and being in that environment anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see how my life was just changing. You know, my transformation began as soon as I started doing that, and as soon as really as I picked up the Quran, really. And my parents and everybody who knows me tells me that. I mean,
That you
and did
changed.
so. But yeah, they, you know, how much I changed, and you know, that was the only explanation.
So,
But you know, for a long time, I was doing that without fully saying, you know, I am Muslim, or I am, without taking Shahada officially.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Because it's kind of hard
To,
a little bit. You know, you have something there, but like to take that leap. Sometimes for somebody it was me coming from something that was totally different.
True.
You know, it was a little difficult for me. But alhamdulillah, eventually I met some brothers at BSU,
Mashallah.
at the university, and I took Shahada almost over 4 years now.
Mashallah.
And you know, it's been such an amazing thing for me. You know, where I was 5 years ago and where I am today
Mm-hmm.
is, alhamdulillah, like it's just the most amazing thing to think about. And
And what the reaction for your family? I mean, since you picked that, did they tell you about why you're reading this, or nobody told you that?
you know, for a while, I mean, I waited until...
Did you hide it, or you?
I didn't hide it, but I didn't come out and like say, hey, this is what I'm interested in. And I kind of regret that a little bit, you know?
Uh-huh.
I regret that a little bit, because maybe if I had said, look at what I'm learning,
Yeah.
then maybe they would have said, oh, let me, or
Yeah.
like they might have learned with me, you know?
Oh,
Instead
okay.
of, you know, I learned and took Shahada and then went and told them, hey, you know, I've found this religion, and it's that's who I am now, and it's, and then I started, you know, telling them a little bit about it. They were very supportive.
Good.
You know, they're supportive because they had seen the changes in me. They're like, oh, okay, that's why you're like, I don't know, you know, different.
Yeah.
Or like you're so much more peaceful, you're so much more easy to interact with, you know. But, you know, so they're very supportive because of that. You know, they understand that it's been something very, very good for me. But at the same time, they don't, they ask questions and things.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, about Ramadan, they
Yeah.
ask a lot of questions. About praying, you know, they see me get up to go to Fajr, or see me go out late to go
Yeah.
to Isha,
Aisha Bray.
and so they have questions about that. They also have questions, you know, normal questions, hijab,
Exact-
and all sorts
Yeah.
of these things. But alhamdulillah, they've been very supportive, and inshallah, you know, in the future, they can learn more and
Inshallah. So, you mean, did they like it, or they wish you back to what you?
No, they weren't. They've never been, like I said, because I think they aren't so strict
Uh-huh.
in being Catholic. I think they, especially my dad. My dad understands that there are other perspectives in the world,
Mashallah.
you know, and it's hard for everybody to agree and have the same perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so he thinks, that because it's something good for me, that and I'm not, changing into where I'm against them,
Yeah.
then he's okay with it. He's not opposed.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give advices for non-Muslim people who will watch this video. What you want to tell them?
Advice for non-Muslims who
Yeah.
will watch this. I can't really say advice for non-Muslims. I would say, who am I to say,
Uh-huh.
But learn, first of all. Be sure that what you think you know is true. What you think you know is actually the case, what you've been told and that sort of thing. Because I think you can never stop learning, and there's an infinite amount of things that you can, pick up, especially about something so important as religion, right? If you are a person who believes in that there is an afterlife, that there is God, then you should definitely spend your time trying to figure out which religion is right. And I think if you truly study Islam and have an open mind and really critically examine what you believe currently, then I think Allah will guide you. But other than that, I can't really speak to non-Muslims in any other way.
Yeah. So what about? What it was in your mind before you become Muslim about Muslims people, and how was it? Is it true? It was true, or just?
Oh no, not at all. Like what I knew about Islam before really knowing about Islam was, I really didn't know anything. I knew Allah, the word Allah, I knew Allahu Akbar, but I didn't really know
What is?
any of the core beliefs of Islam or anything like that, so I can't really say that I was informed. But the whole notion of people wanting to destroy America or anything like that, that's just totally false. Islam is all about righteousness and fighting for what is just and striving for peace, right?
Exactly.
Because Islam, in essence, is peace and submission to the will of Allah, which is the most peaceful thing you can do. And so yeah, it was totally different than anything I had known.
All right, Ibrahim. Thank you so much for that video, and inshallah, hope for you a good future, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu
Walaikum.
My beloved brothers and sisters, do not look down on anyone because they are not Muslim. Instead, treat them with mercy, honesty, and respect. Your kindness may be the first thing they notice about Islam, and it could inspire them to learn more about the faith. Invite others to Islam with gentle words and a caring heart. Listen to their questions. Be patient with their doubts and always speak with wisdom. The Qur'an teaches us to call people to the way of Allah with wisdom and beautiful preaching. Remember that guidance is in the hands of Allah alone. Our responsibility is only to share the message in the best way possible. Even if someone does not accept Islam today, your good character may leave a positive impression that stays with them for years. Never underestimate the reward of sincere da'wah. If Allah guides someone through your words or actions, it is a priceless blessing. Continue making dua for others. Be an example of Islamic character and hope for Allah's mercy and reward in this life and the hereafter.